Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Trucking Tower podcast. I'm very excited to be joined today by Dave Abels, who is the President and Chief Operating Officer with AFC Transport. How are you doing today, Dave?
I'm doing very, very well. Thank you for having me today.
Absolutely. I was looking forward to having you on the show with me. You know, we're going to be talking about some exciting news from your company in the hiring space, along with some tips for success for job applicants out there and some trends as well. So just to kick things off, I'd like to thank our sponsor, True Diligence. If you'd like to save time and money on your background checks while getting expert advice from a company with 29 years in the business, please be sure to click on the link below. So Dave, it's been fun getting to know you through LinkedIn during the past year and a half or so and chatting back and forth. And I understand that you have some exciting news to share about hiring at AFC Transport. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so, AFC is a premier flatbed carrier. We're the 23rd largest in the United States. I joined the company about 2.5 months ago as their new president. We've got some really exciting things going on. If you look at my LinkedIn, you'll see at different times I post different facility pictures and things. I'm going to tell you right now, our facility is second to none. If you go into the driver's lounge space, you're going to feel like you're in a seven-figure home. The same thing applies to the shower rooms and the laundry facilities and the game room. So the ownership of our organization has done a really, really good job making sure that the drivers not only are comfortable, but have a home feel. Truly in our driver's lounge, it's like a kitchen in your house. There's a stove, there's all these different things, plates, everything's provided for you. You can come in, bring your animals in, couches, TVs that most places have, but it's just a unique feel. So those are things that are really, really important to us, is that our drivers feel at home and a part of the team. And then secondarily, I talk a lot about pay package and compensation, which means a lot to most people, right? We've got probably one of the best, if not the best, compensation packages out there for independent contractors and for company drivers in the industry. And come next week, you're going to see even large enhancements to that we'll be releasing that are going to be just kind of earth-shattering, to be honest with you. I come from a cent per mile dry van kind of background where, companies pay 60, 65 cents. In our world, in the flatbed world, we pay on a percentage basis, and our company drivers as an aggregate earn around 95 cents a mile, right? So that's huge money. And they've got the potential to do similar amount of miles as you would at a dry van carrier. Obviously, there's a little work involved because you are doing some tarping and securement and things. But there's a lot of loads that, we have Conestogas and we have different types of trailers as well. So you don't have to do as much. You're always going to have to secure, but not necessarily always tarp. So that's a great thing from a contractor perspective, coming from a dry van world. Carriers pay somewhere in that $1.25, $1.35 plus fuel range. Here, when you look at it, you get a percentage of the overall revenue, comes up to almost like $2.85 to $2.97 a mile to the truck. Now, those are huge numbers. So it's unfortunate. And we're not the only company. I'm sure there's a lot of smaller companies that do these things, but you get a lot of PR about Walmart's going to pay drivers six-figure. I'm going to tell you right now, as a percentage of my fleet, I've got more six-figure earning drivers than a large fleet like Walmart. As a percentage, I'm much smaller, obviously, thousands smaller. But we do really, really well, and we take care of our drivers and our contractors. And not only that, they do that with the latest and greatest equipment from our friends at Peterbilt, Freightliner, and Rittenauer trailers. We've got the best all around.
Awesome. That's exciting. And I've seen these positive posts from you over the years, the last couple of years. I've been following, I can tell you're wanting to help people, right? You want to help them succeed. I can see that in your posts, and it's exciting to hear. In terms of success, what would you say are 2 or 3 key things that potential job applicants should know in applying?
So here's the thing. Just be concise. At any trucking company in the country, we're going to have accurate data to take you back 10 years of employment. Be honest too, right? You mentioned background checks. You mentioned, we run MVR checks. So if you've had situations in the past Make sure you're upfront about it. It's going to come out in the process anyway. So there's no sense in you, the driver, or us as an organization wasting hours or minutes of our time to ultimately find out that there's a disqualifier that you were really aware of. So I think from an integral standpoint, every company out there would love to hire drivers. We'd love to retain those drivers. Be honest about your history, and then let's work through that, right? The next thing would be, once you get into any organization, you're going to understand this. And I went over this yesterday with our group in orientation. Every company's got great positives. Every company's going to have a bad day, right? There's going to be a day where your brand new tractor breaks down. There's going to be a day where your load cancels. It's how the company reacts to those things that sets us apart from the group of our peers, right? And so coming into an organization as a new driver, you went through the hiring process, you went through the orientation process, you get your new truck. Again, maybe the first trip, maybe the second trip, maybe the eighth trip, something goes wrong. Work with your team to understand how to navigate those things and stick with it. Don't just say, hey, my truck broke, I'm done, I'm going somewhere else, I don't feel right. The same thing can happen to you anywhere. So at the end of the day, we'd love you to stay with us, or if you're with another organization, use that same logic. It's going to apply anywhere. Give them an opportunity to work through the issues, and I think you're going to be satisfied.
Absolutely. I've been working in industry for almost 30 years now, right. And there's going to be things that go wrong. There's no way that you can't, but yeah, how you adjust to it, how you react to it, how both sides really, how you react to that makes all the difference in the world. And I think a lot of it comes down to attitude, just have a good attitude and work your way through it. So great advice. Absolutely. In terms of trucking, what are some of the key trends that you're seeing in the marketplace in recent years?
Well, I mean, 2020, 2021 was like no other, right? I mean, so I recall back in 2018, we were all having record years. Things were going great. Everybody was buying tons of tractors. We didn't have shortages of equipment like we do today, but we were all buying because we thought 19 would be another record year. 19 changed dramatically, right? So the same thing is kind of what we're seeing right now. If I looked at my numbers for the last 13 weeks, historically the rates are dropping, right? So the spot market activity for smaller companies had been really well. It had been at an all-time peak. That's dropped off dramatically. Not so much for us in that flatbed space as perhaps a dry van carrier, but there's still been some dilution of rate. So those are something that you really need to be cognizant of. And then this year it was compounded by certain things like equipment shortages, trucks go down for a longer period of time. And it goes back to when we talk about a driver. Okay, so when your brand new truck broke down, but we couldn't get that part like we used to be able to get it in 24 hours, you might be down for 48 or 72 hours. Those are things that we've seen this year that we've really never seen before. So those are some of the things that we have to adjust to. But in terms of the market, I think, the country as a whole is going through some odd times, right? With our inflationary talk or recession talk, the interest rates are going up, the truck availability issues. Will buying be strong going into Q4 like it has been historically, or with a recession or perceived recession slow it down? Those are all questions we have to ask ourselves. What I would tell any driver or carrier is be modest, right? Be modest during these times. Hold your course, stick with your customer contractual rates. Drivers don't make jumps from one company to the next company. Just try to stick with it and you're going to weather the storm.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, everybody knows inflation's been in the news recently and supply chain's been in the news. Both of those things have been talked about a lot within the last year or so. But I'm hopeful that it's just worry, but you're talking about be modest. Don't go out there and get crazy with your expenditures and so forth, because there's a lot of talk about recession, right now for sure. So
and one thing too, when you talk about something too much, it can become a reality. Mm-hmm. So I think the nation as a whole and us in this transportation space, we can't allow it to happen. So we have to counteract that. It's kind of like if you're talking to a broker and the broker's trying to get you to haul for a lower rate. Well, if every carrier starts hauling for a lower rate, the lower rate is now the new rate, right? So we have to kind of band together. We have to hold our own. There was times throughout my career where we'd hold a truck. We wouldn't take a broker load that was too cheap or even a customer load that was too cheap. We'd sit the truck, wait till the next day. We kind of got away from that over the last few years because freight's been so plentiful and rates have been so high. So just make good decisions for yourself as a driver and your organization as a company, and we'll weather this just like we always have in the past.
Right. There's always been ups and downs, fluctuations for sure. Many, many, many times it goes up and down. But yeah, just stay the course, basically.
Correct.
And the friends that I talk to, they're still staying plenty busy now for sure.
Luckily, like I said, the flatbed space for us is remained strong. The rate dilution has been nowhere near what it was on the van side. There's a lot of infrastructure spending going on. So those type of things that work well for the industry space we're in.
Right. Absolutely. And, what are the best ways for potential applicants to get underway with you guys, Dave?
DriveAFC.com. So DriveAFC.com is our website. You can go out there and learn a little bit about the company. There's a link there where you can click to get to a recruiter, and they'll be more than happy to tell you about it. If you're out there on LinkedIn, you can shoot me a direct message and I'll get you to the right people as well. And I think that's something that I really am attracted to with this smaller organization is that you can have relationships with people all the way to the top. And I spend a lot of time talking to drivers and contractors. And my office is the door open office. I sit right in front of where the drivers come into the building. And that's how I get some of my greatest intel. That's how I learn how to retain drivers and how to understand what's going on in my operation. So if you want to reach out to us and have some discussions, drive for AFC or driveafc.com. And then, or shoot me a message on LinkedIn and I'll get you with the right person.
Awesome. Absolutely. I have an industrial engineering degree and it's all about process improvement. I got my best advice always from the people on the floor. Right. So I would take all their ideas and along with some science and put it together and come back with them over what we're going to be doing. And it works so much better. And you get the best insights for sure that way, no doubt about it.
And then you get, too, as I talk to those people, they take that message and they articulate it out to others, right? So as they bring a problem to me and I work through that problem with them or break that problem down, or perhaps it's not really even an issue at all, then that's something they can go out. And we're putting together an ambassador team that's just that. A group of individuals that understand the organization and that other drivers can bump into on the road and soundboard information from and problems and things.
Great idea. That's awesome. And I ask all of my guests this last question here. What would you say as a final word of advice for our friends listening or watching today?
I think just, hold your head up and be confident in what you're doing. Don't let little setbacks like the trends in the industry right now set you back. We've went through this before. So there's a lot of people that joined this industry in the last 2 years because of the growth, right? They don't understand that this has happened historically multiple times. So just stay the course. It's a great, great opportunity to stay in the supply chain space. And I think just, learn from others. Listen, don't talk so much, but listen and take it in and then make your own assessments on things. I think that the greatest things I've done is I've had really good mentors in my career and I listened to what they had to say. And then I took it and applied it to practical application through my own thought process. So that's really all I can say. There's just hold your head up, be confident in yourselves, love what you're doing. And if you don't love what you're doing, probably ought to do something else, right? As a guy who's 53 years old, been doing this for 27 years, I love what I do. And that's what makes me successful at it.
Absolutely. Totally agree. Great advice there. You're going to be working a lot of your life, right? So you better enjoy it. But a lot of it, again, I think comes down to attitude, just attitude about life in general and the market and so forth. I've been lucky to work in trucking for 20 some odd years. And there's been peaks and valleys, right? But it's a great industry. I mean, just everything we have comes on a truck. So it's not going anywhere. But there's going to be some hiccups here and there for sure. So, well, thanks again for coming on the show with me today, Dave. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
All righty. And that's going to do it for this edition of the Trucking Tower podcast. Take care, everybody. We'll see you soon.